exacerbate the situation, and so I had great concern. You know what, as I look out over this crowd, I see people exhibiting their Second Amendment rights, and I see people exhibiting their First Amendment rights, protesting peacefully and telling us what you think. I see no domestic terrorists here, or I wouldn't be here. I was concerned upon hearing from Indiana that there was going to be women and children put out on the front line. Well, after some investigation, I found no women and children that were even put out in front, as some has suggested, as tactics. No, we would never do that. We would never put helpless women and children intentionally in harm's way. Oh, sure, there's brave women here and cowgirls that were out there to retrieve some of these cattle back that were the Bundy property. But there were no cowards here. There were no women and children put on the front line. You know, 21 years ago today, Waco happened. And something that could have been handled so peacefully by an elected sheriff in that county is if the feds had an issue with Mr. Koresh, all he would have had to do is say, "Sheriff, we have a warrant for his arrest." And the sheriff would have said, "Yes, he goes to town every day, he jogs, he gets supplies, I'll take care of it." And we would have arrested Mr. Koresh, and there would have been no problems. Instead, we have armed federal agents who cause more problems. That's exactly what we saw the other day. Armed federal agents, 200 federal agents that were armed to the hilt to remove cattle. That's ridiculous. There was property during the Waco situation. After it burned to the ground, what happened? The government quickly buried the evidence. Just exactly what they did here. They tried to bury the cattle that they slaughtered, and that's a difference between what the court order said, purportedly, that you need to impound the cattle. I didn't see any impoundment going on when we're looking at a mass grave. You know, the difference between the sheriff and the feds is the feds have no face. They have no number. Who are you going to call when you want to file a complaint? Who do you even know their names? Of course not. You know the sheriff's name. You know his number. You know how to get a hold of him. The sheriff can intervene for peaceful results. You see, back in 2011, I had an Amish farmer who was being harassed by the Food and Drug Administration and the Department of Justice. In fact, they even subpoenaed him to appear in a grand jury. As sheriff, I determined that it was harassment, and I told the feds, do not come back to this farmer's property unless you have a warrant based on probable cause signed by a judge, or I'll arrest you for trespass.
Yay!
That was 2011, and they haven't been back, and the farmer's milk production has doubled. Mr. Bundy said he would submit to the sheriff if he needed to do so. So I asked, where is the sheriff of Clark County?
Indeed, Gillespie. Thanks, Sheriff.
Now, if every sheriff in America were half the man as that man is who walks his talk, none of us would have to do anything like this. And we could all, as Mike Vanderbilt said, simply enjoy raising our children, loving our spouses, and living our lives. But because evil men never rest and never stop, so must we be eternally vigilant. We must make sure, and it's our fault, as he said, that we don't have sheriffs like that in every county in America. We should look in the mirror. It's our own fault. You folks from Clark County, you got to get yourself a real sheriff, or this will keep on happening. because you will have no
Go
shelter.
Larry Brown.
And the people themselves will be forced, as a state of nature,
Burns, I'm sorry,
to
Larry
defend
Burns.
themselves against a tyrant worse than a private criminal. Now, there was one Nevada legislator, and only one, sadly, who stood up from the beginning for the Bundys. She was here last Saturday. She was here before last Saturday. She's been here ever since. Michele Fiore, Assemblywoman of Nevada.
Yay!
And once again, it takes a woman to shame the men who are doing their duty.
Hey!
You know, I have to just tell you that it wasn't me. It was all of you that really made a really strong statement to our federal government. And I want you to remember these 3 words, because we will not be governed by gunpoint ever again.
Amen.
This is not an isolated incident. I have gotten many emails from ranchers across the state of Nevada. I have gotten emails in this past week from people in London, in Singapore, in Germany. It's gone international, you guys. You have gone international. Just as they have slaughtered the Bundy cattle, and understand, I've seen photos of I can't even call them holes, they're mass grave sites that they dug, and other grave sites. This wasn't about an unpaid bill. This wasn't about herding cattle for an auction for a bill, because if it was, the stewardship of those supposedly BLM ranchers would have never slaughtered and cruelty herded those animals. And that's exactly what took place. And that's exactly what we have to get across America. Because in our 11 western states, when you looked at that map, if you guys saw that map up there, the federal government wants all of that. And they will stop at no cost, including putting ranchers out of business that have been ranching for generation after generation.
And the people to death. And the people to death.
Yes. So it's up to us to really get the word out across America, across the world, that this is unacceptable behavior for an American government. Do you know how many countries outside try to flee into our country for freedom? A lot.
Everyone.
And you know what I found out this past week? Are we really free? Or is our government free to do whatever it wants? Yeah. Not anymore. That's right. Because of you. Because of you not allowing anyone to be governed at gunpoint, this is where we are. And I just have to thank you. You made a loud and clear statement. And we're all standing here alive today because of it. And another thing I want to say, because the media is really attacking a lot of us, and they're saying that we pointed the guns at the federal agents. And we have photographs, thank goodness, that show the federal agents pointing their firearms at all of us, and we never pointed back. I just want you to know that. We did not aim at our federal agents. Were we prepared? If they fired that first shot, absolutely. But we were not here to harm anyone. We were here to protect our land. And I just have to thank each and every one of you, because this isn't the end. Like Carrie Reed said, it's not over, and there's going to be more to come. And I hope this was, unfortunately, a practice drill that got the spotlight on Nevada and other ranches across the United States, and a big loud and clear message to the federal government that we are not going to stand for this. So I want to thank you, and you guys have a nice evening.
As Michele said, this is not an isolated incident. There's been a long, ongoing war against the entire West. Whether it's the spotted owl being used to stop logging in Montana, the rest of the Rocky Mountain West, whether it's farmers in California being denied water because of what's it called, a smelt? What? Delta smelt.
Don't forget about the kangaroo rat, too.
That's right. And up in Utah, in Sheriff Mark Gower of Iron County, Utah, in fact, one of the first sheriffs we reached out to when I found those keepers, because he had stood up to the FDA, or the EPA, in his county, where you had a similar situation to the Bundys. You had Mormon farmers who had been farming the same soil as their grandpa and their dad for generations, being told they could no longer till that soil because it was now prairie dog habitat. As if you could ever possibly kill all the prairie dogs. They're like rabbits. They reproduce like mad. So Sheriff Gower took a stand, much like Sheriff Rogers, and said, not in my county. But across the West, they have, first of all, stolen the land from the West. Look at the map of the United States and compare the amount of federal land owned or claimed by the federal government in the eastern states, like Virginia, Connecticut, and New York, compared to the western states, like Nevada, Wyoming, Montana, Washington State. You don't see Virginia had 80% of its land claimed by the federal government, do you? Well, why not? Because they entered the Union constitutionally. Here in Nevada, they claim 85% of the land. And why is that? Because they entered the Union unconstitutionally. That's why. Unconstitutional for the federal government to claim 85% of your land. What they're supposed to do, according to Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17, is the federal government is supposed to purchase the land from the states. I'm going to read it to you so you all understand very clearly what's supposed to happen. If I can find it. There it is. It says Congress has the power to exercise exclusive legislation in all cases whatsoever over such a district, not exceeding 10 miles square, as may by session of particular states and the acceptance of Congress become the seat of the government of the United States, and exercise like authority over all places purchased by the consent of the legislature of the state, in which the same shall be for the erection of forts, magazines, arsenals, dockyards, and other needful buildings. Now let me ask you, when did the legislature of the state of Nevada ever consent to selling its land to the federal government? And when did the federal government ever purchase that land? Never. Instead, they robbed you at the moment of statehood. They're making a condition of statehood that you must give your 80% of your land to them. Is that anywhere in the Constitution? Is that in compliance with equal footing? The doctrine of equal footing, whereby each state is supposed to enter the Union on an equal footing with the original states? It's not. So you were robbed from the very beginning. Mr. Bundy is correct. That is not federal land. That's state land. It belongs to the state of Nevada. It belongs to the people of Nevada. And what he has done is begun to stand, to get you to stand up with him and take your land back.